Namaste. As always, I pop on a few minutes early. Good morning, Monica. As always, I pop on a few minutes early just to give us a chance to gather, to find our way, right? Isn't it interesting, even if you might be homebound, good morning, Becky, even if you might be homebound, isn't it interesting that we still need some time to find our way into a seat, right? Slightly different seat from the seat when you're having your meal or a seat when you're watching a series on the television, right? Good morning, Gary. So, taking some time, good morning, Donald, Amanda, taking some time to find your way into a seat, even in your homes or sometimes especially at your homes, because there's a lot of other activity that can occur in the home, right? And we aspire to live as integrated as possible, right? To go past compartmentalization. But the bottom line is that, most of us still have stuff to do, right? So taking the time right now to find your way into a seat that you could essentially sustain for, 20 minutes, a half hour together with us. Hi, Mary. Nice to see everybody today. Let us tune in. This rubbing of the palms that I typically do to begin. It's a way to kind of call the energy in, to join the energy of the right to the left, the yin and the yang, if you will, to locate a place of center. Breathe in. Let's please take a moment of gratitude. What is the day like when we stop to take a seat and be grateful? How that can shift our course. Namaste. So those of you that don't live in upper New York State, and those of you that are down south, or those of you that are on the West Coast. We are in the middle of some winter, some heavy, serious duty winter. And of course I'm giggling because it's what, May, I don't know, 8th? I don't even know what day it is, right? What the date is, but, here we are amidst, 30 or 32 degree day with snow, day 2 of it, and then there's a few more to come. So, what to do other than have a little inner chuckle with Mother Nature right now. But from these cold temps, I found myself today, the body very contracted, which doesn't, feel so good, to have the body in deep contraction, but yet it makes sense, right? We kind of go in, we kind of pull back, we retreat, we contract, as a way to shelter, as a way to resist what's occurring, right? So on my walk here today, I must have been quite clenched, because when I came to do my practice today, I found the physical body very clenched. And it got me thinking about how we all are more than likely through this crisis in a state of contraction, in a state of protection, in a state of resistance, and as much as we aspire to live creatively and freely, and I hope that these segments in a tiny way, in this beautiful community that gathers, I hope we are all supporting each other in the endeavor and the attempt to continue to live very creatively, very freely, and very openly. But of course, due to the crisis at hand, more than likely, we are probably catching ourselves in a state of contraction. Every once in a while, hopefully not too often, but it's there. So what to do? Well, one thing is to be able to accept the state that you're in, and give thanks for the awareness, right? One of the great things that can come from this sit together is that we're building the skill, the tool, the muscle. We're building the muscle of awareness as we continue to sit together, which ain't never going to be a bad thing, right? To become aware of what it is that's happening with us inside. And as more of us, more often than not, are potentially experiencing more contraction than not, it will, of course, breed a new ground for an expansion that we will then become aware of, right? Because it is inevitable that contraction does not exist alone. And I think this is really important, right? Moving those marbles in the mind around every once in a while. We cannot live by state of contraction alone, right? The natural flow of life, the natural law of that, right, is contract and expand. So we're birthing, we're giving way, we're making room for that beautiful expansion to occur. And every once in a while, hopefully, we are blessed to experience it in the here and the now. But I was also starting to think about how when this crisis eventually passes, which it will eventually pass, right? We don't know how long it's going to take, right? We're in this kind of sacred pause of continuing to be in a protective-like way. But eventually, right? Vaccine will occur, the virus will not threaten as many as often, right? Eventually, right? So when that happens, for each and every one of us in this kind of global collective, we will all be experiencing together the collective expansion, and how awesome that's going to be, right? Because expansion, I'm going to use the word again, I've been using it a lot lately, births. Expansion births compassion. And how I think that occurs, what my take on it, right? Because that's all I can offer is, my authentic experience as I continue to show up, as I continue to become aware. My take on it is that as we all take that kind of global sigh of relief when eventually this passes, when the threat isn't so detrimental, right? As we take that collective kind of, exhale, if you will, this beautiful kind of expansiveness, right, on the inhale as we start to just fill up, it teaches us, it supports us, it schools us in compassion because there's more space for greater tolerance. You think about perhaps some of the more pettier times in your life, when we didn't have such great tolerance for other humans, right? Where their issues annoyed you, right? Myself included, right? We just kind of contract and pull back, create the segregation, right? And as we will eventually, once again, be experiencing this collective sigh of relief, where we can kind of, unguard, soften, and open, it's breathing life force into compassion because there's going to be more space for us to accept each other more greatly. And so we have the collective sigh, where we eventually release the contraction. And it creates a beautiful expansion. Inevitable, right? Expansion occurs side by side with contraction. And as we all eventually start to experience more of that expansion, we're making more space. We're making more space in our minds and our hearts. And tolerance, right, will come from that spaciousness. Compassion will come from that spaciousness because we all have an understanding of what it's been like to go through this crisis, right? Because no one has been omitted from it, right? So there's a great, great, great chance. There's a huge possibility that the earth is going to become, that the people that inhabit the earth is going to become more compassionate by way of expansiveness, which is only coming from our awareness of how contracted we all are right now. And the other kind of beautiful side note of what's occurring right now is the earth is healing. Right? We all know this by way of data and science and research and all these wonderful things that are starting to happen, like being able to see the Himalayas and the water's clearer, the sky's brighter, etc., right? So the earth during this sacred pause is healing, right? You don't need me to tell you that, right? So we are to follow. So as we all might have this collective contraction right now, as we all might have this collective contraction right now, it is inevitable that we will all have a collective expansion. And take some time to find your seat. And how neat that you get to do that in your home. Maybe you're finding your seat in a new way right now. Noticing how you sit. Notice how you feel. Notice how you feel in your seat right now, how you feel in your body right now. Once again, when I showed up today, all I felt was constriction. All I felt was contraction. And that's limiting, right? But it's important for us to notice it while it's there. And we mustn't be afraid that it's going to stay there forever. And if you choose to, close your eyes. And as a reminder, we are not closing our eyes to shut the world out. We're simply closing our eyes to have a more intimate internal experience with it, with the world, and with ourselves as we now know it. See if you might begin the process and the practice of softening. And how it is a process and a practice is, it takes time. It takes time to release one's hold. And please come to notice the environment you're in. I hope that is safe space. If it is safe space that you are currently in, allow that to encourage a softening. As you soften, you might notice that your body starts to descend down a little further, kind of the opposite of the contraction, right? The opposite of the grip up. And as you soften, I'm sensing the body sinking down a little more deeply. So once again, just check in. How are you feeling right now? Nobody needs to know. You don't need to report this information to anyone. This is for you, growing your awareness. And can we just take a moment of gratitude to give thanks that we are aware of what we're feeling right now, as it is an essential part of you. Now, you don't have to like it. Just allow yourself to feel it, whatever it is. See if you might soften a little more. Remember that the process and the practice of softening, it doesn't have to be instantaneous. There's no button you have to push for it to happen. Maybe you notice your shoulders releasing a little bit, or your hips sinking a little bit. And see if you can soften inside, right, where your gut is. Maybe you've been holding it, right? Maybe it's been in a bit of a contraction for a while. I don't know. Or maybe the heart, right? See if you might soften in such a way that you're giving way for a bit of expansiveness, a bit of spaciousness. Locate your breath inside the belly of the self. Notice that there are two parts to each and every breath. The breath is not just the contraction, right? That the expansiveness of the inhalation is occurring. Train your brain to seek it out. And grow more aware of how the breath brushes in the nose on the inhale and flushes out the nose on the exhale. Sit inside this two-part breath experience. Slowly coming to the realization that you are as much of the expansion as you are the contraction. And how that expansiveness just breeds more space inside. More space for you to tolerate your feelings and your thoughts and your sensations. More space for you to tolerate others' thoughts, feelings, and sensations. Right, this gift of tolerance by way of spaciousness. Preparing for our daily lung strengthening exercise. Lightly lift through the waist in such a way that you open the midsection. Rooting heavily down to those hips. A light lift through the chest and the top of the lungs. Empty the breath from the underbelly. Breathe in. Retain. Breathe out. Retain. 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 Release the lock of the breath. Let your breath go. Let it flow. Maybe the body moves slightly with this newfound breath capacity as it flourishes and fills the high lungs on the inhale and as it empties way under the navel on the exhale. Perhaps sitting in observance of the beautiful expansiveness of the inhale that could only come from the natural cause of the exhale. That this contraction on the out-breath breathes new life to the next inhale. That they are partners. That they work together in collaboration of wholeness. The ebb and the flow. We're flowing our way into new states of living, new states of being. Slowly float the eyes open and just flow the palms up the body on the inhale. And then turn them and press them gently down on the exhale. And flowing them up as you breathe in. And taking them down as you breathe out. Just allow yourself to pass through a couple more rounds. Gently encouraging a coordination of breath and motion. Observing the beautiful rise and the fall. And coming to a greater understanding and deeper acceptance that one is not really capable without the other. And if this sacred pause has got a hold on you for good reason, if you happen to find yourself living in a greater state of contraction right now, whether it's due to a cold day or the crisis or anything in between, right? It's bound to happen. Recognize that it won't last. That inhale and expansiveness will occur. Hands to the heart. And breathe in. Namaste. Thank you for joining us in this sit together. And tomorrow I have a day of rest and I'll be back here Monday. I hope to see you. Drop me a line. Tell me how it's going for you. Share with others how you're feeling. If you're, if you're up to it. This forum, this forum, right, gives us a chance to experience the great collective of this experience together. We're heading over to Zoom if anybody wants to do the physical asana practice with me, breath, motion, combination, all are welcome. Christina will place the information there for you. And, have the best day you can have today. Let's close it up and remember to send it out, that as we have this opportunity to sit together, right, to kind of really become more aware, that we can send that awareness out and help others that have not yet benefited, right, from a healing practice, from a practice of awareness or mindfulness, that are just, flailing out there still, right? We can help ground them. We can help bring them to states of healing by sending this out. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you live with an easy heart. Namaste.